Now it's time, snuggle up, little one. Hold me tight, snuggle up, day is done.
It's bedtime with Barney all over the world. Bedtime with Barney for all boys and girls.
Oh, I love story time. Now it's time, snuggle up, little one. Let me read just for you. You're the one.
It's bedtime with Barney, so come gather round. Bedtime with Barney.
And we're story bound. Hello again. This is your friend Barney, and I've got a story just for you. Did you ever wonder where shoes come from? Do you think that maybe shoes grow on a great big bush? No, there are people who make shoes, like the man in our story tonight. It's called The Shoemaker and the Elves, and it's really fun. So get all nice and settled in. There. Now, while I tell the story, you can just relax and use your imagination. Here we go. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a little old shoemaker who lived with his wife in the back of their small shoe store. And even though they worked hard, they were very poor.
Look, I only have one piece of leather left to make one last pair of shoes to sell.
Do not be so sad. You are such a good man that surely good things will happen. Maybe tomorrow.
Yes, maybe tomorrow. You go on to bed now, and I'll be along soon.
And standing at his workbench, the old shoemaker carefully cut the leather into just the right-shaped pieces to make a pair of shoes. Then he said,
"Oh, I'm too tired to work more tonight. I will just leave these pieces here and make them into shoes in the morning."
Then he turned off the light and went to bed. But later that night, something happened. I wonder what all of that was. Oh, anyway, the next morning, the shoemaker and his wife walked back into the store and got a big surprise.
Why, look, there, on my workbench.
It is a pair of shoes, and they are the most beautiful shoes that you have ever made.
Yes, but I didn't make them.
So the shoemaker put the new shoes into the front window of his shoe store. And just as soon as he did, a man came into the store and bought those shoes with a shiny gold coin.
Oh, this is wonderful with this gold coin. I can buy enough leather to make 2 pairs of shoes to sell.
And there will be money for some food. I'm so happy.
That night, after a very tasty dinner, the old shoemaker cut his new leather into just the right-shaped pieces to make 2 pairs of shoes.
Now, let's see what happens tonight.
Then he turned out the light and went to bed. And the next morning, what do you think they found?
Oh, look!
2 pairs of shoes, all finished and ready to sell. And they were just as beautifully made as the first pair.
How can this be?
It is just as I said before. Good things are happening because you are such a good man.
And so it became kind of a happy game for the shoemaker and his wife. Every night he would lay out the pieces of leather, And every morning, he would find a workbench full of wonderful shoes that people couldn't wait to buy. In a few months, the shoemaker and his wife had all the money they would ever need. And one day, the old woman said to her husband,
Who do you think has been doing this wonderful thing for us?
I don't know, but I think tonight we should find out.
And that night, the shoemaker laid out the pieces of leather just as he always did and turned out the light. But then, the shoemaker and his wife hid themselves in a dark corner of the store and waited. Nothing happened for the longest time, but just as the clock struck 12, something happened. The door to the store opened, and in ran two little elves. They looked like tiny little men, no bigger than dolls, with funny little white beards. They were carrying tiny little toolboxes. And although their clothing was dirty and torn, the two elves seemed very happy as they skipped and hopped and jumped right up onto the workbench. And as the shoemaker and his wife watched, the little elves took out their tiny little tools and started making shoes. The little hammer went tap, 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 and the needle and thread went in and out, in and out. And the elves worked so quickly that before long, the workbench was filled with wonderful shoes. And when every bit of leather was used up, the elves hopped down from the workbench and hurried out the door. Well, the shoemaker and his wife could hardly believe what they had seen.
So these are the ones who have helped us. I wish there was something nice that we could do for them.
Well, their little clothes are falling apart. Perhaps I could sew them some brand new clothes.
That's a wonderful idea.
And the next day, the shoemaker's wife sewed 2 suits of tiny little clothes. She made shirts, pants, coats, and caps, and even knitted some tiny little socks. Oh, they're so cute. And the shoemaker was busy making the tiniest little shoes you can imagine.
They're all finished.
That night, the shoemaker and his wife spread the little clothes out on the workbench. Then they turned out the lights and went to their hiding place. And late that night, just at 12 o'clock, the door opened and in ran those 2 little elves. They jumped up onto the workbench. And when they saw those little clothes, do you think they were happy? Yes, they were. Ho, ho, those little fellows put on their new clothes just as fast as they could. They liked them so much that they did a little dance. And then, by the light of the moon, the little men jumped off the workbench and ran out the door. And that was the last time that the elves visited the shoemaker. Oh, but the shoemaker and his wife didn't mind.
The elves already did so many good things for us. We don't need any more.
And maybe they're doing good deeds for someone else, still wearing their nice little suits.
And maybe they are. I really don't know. But I do know one thing. The old shoemaker and his wife lived happily ever after. The end. Oh, wasn't that a fun story? Can you imagine what it would be like to have those nice little elves come every night and make something very special just for you? Of course, elves are only in our imaginations, and they don't really come to visit. But I do think that if you turn out the lights, something nice really will happen for you tomorrow. after a good night's sleep. Time to sleep, time to dream, little one. Close your eyes, covers up, night has come.
It's bedtime with Barney.
Let's turn out the light.